Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to EonsOfBattle, and today I'm going to show you how I paint my Genestealer cult Genestealers. Here are the paints I'll be using. So the first thing I did was I primed the model with some Vallejo Gray Primer. You could also use some Gray Rattlecan Primer, or even some Brush-On Primer. And once that was dry, I then mixed myself up some Citadel Genestealer Purple. Now I find that whenever I use this color, it's always very, very thin. It doesn't want to cover very well, even when I put it through an airbrush. So I ended up having to do a few coats to get a good even base. Once that was dry, I mixed up my highlight color, which was a 50-50 split of Genestealer Purple and P3 white paint. The P3 white paint is the only white paint I found that I really like working with. It's a little thicker and the pigments are a little bit stronger, and so I feel that it actually mixes well with the other paints that I use. I then used a very, very small dry brush to dry brush the paint on all of the fleshy bits of the Genestealer. This is just kind of a first highlight, and I'm going to be washing over on top of this. I just want the raised areas to be much brighter than the shaded areas. Once I was happy with that dry brush, I then washed the whole model with some Citadel Drachi Violet. Once that wash had dried, I then went back and I made my same dry brushing mixture of the 1-to-1 with Genestealer Purple and P3 White. And then I used a dry brushing brush with longer bristles so that it'd have a finer finish, and then I did another dry brushing. Then I mixed myself up a 50-50 mixture of Vallejo Game Heavy Blue and Vallejo Game Color Black. And this by far was the longest part of the painting process, and it was picking out all of the exoskeleton in this color. And you're just going to want to take it slow and just very carefully paint around all of the fleshy parts. Once I had all of the carapace picked out, I then began highlighting it, mixing myself some watered down Vallejo Game Color Heavy Blue. I then began carefully highlighting all of the edges and the raised portions of the carapace. Now the nice thing about watering this down is it helps the colors to blend, and then as you layer up the colors, you have a little bit more control on which areas you get all the way back up to a pure heavy blue, and which areas you want to remain darker. As I continue this highlight, I also began using it to almost draw highlights into the skeleton. I brought out some of the raised portions on the arms, any areas where the light would hit them. I wanted the skeleton to have a little bit of a shininess, almost a non-metallic metal effect, where the areas that would be hit by light, the top areas of all of the armor, were brought out to a brighter blue. I hit areas around the cuffs and where the joints met, and all around any revealed fleshy bits inside of the armor, along the arms and along the back. As the paint would dry, I would just go over it to help bring the color back up to the heavy blue. Once that was dry, I then watered down some Game Color Electric Blue, and then I began using that to further highlight the skeleton. Now on this, I did a little bit of a finer highlight, and I don't think I brought any areas on the skeleton back up to electric blue, I used it more just to accent the heavy blue that I already put down. Then I picked out all of the talons with some Vallejo Game Color Leather Brown. Once I had picked out all of his talons, I then went back in and I painted his teeth and the tip of every talon with a little bit of Vallejo Dark Sand. Once I had picked out the tip of all of his claws, I then went in and I poured some thinner onto my dark sand so that it was more thinner than paint, and then I used that to blend the two colors into each other. Then to finish up the model, I painted the tongue with a little bit of Citadel Bugman's Glow. And then I picked out his eyes with a little bit of Citadel Averland Sunset. And there's the finished model. If you have any other ideas or techniques you'd like to see us do, please leave in the comments below. You can follow us at Facebook at EOBFans, and you can follow us on Twitter at EonsOfBattle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.